All right, everybody. Today's episode is a little bit different. I am going to be handing off the Breakaway Breakdown podcast to two very capable hosts that you guys have already met at different points throughout the show. But there's also some new changes coming down the pipe that we're going to incorporate and talk about throughout this episode. But to kick things off, I am here with Taylor Vollin and Lillian Kent, and they are both digital editors over at the Equine Network, which has your favorite brands, the Team Roping Journal, Breakaway Roping Journal, calfroping.com, barrelracing.com. Under that umbrella, they've both worked on roping.com also. But Miss Lillian is our main editor over at the Breakaway Roping Journal. And Taylor Vollin is, you guys have heard her on the Short Score multiple times. She rolls out a ton of content over at the Team Roping Journal, and she has a little bit of a soft spot in her heart for calfroping.com, I believe. But we're going to kind of jump in today, and I'm going to let you guys get to know your new hosts. I will not be going away completely. I will still be popping up at events with some interviews, but these ladies are the ones you're going to trust as I recede back into barrel racing land. The Breakaway Breakdown is going to split. It's going to be the Breakdown podcast. There's going to be the Tie Down Breakdown and the Breakaway Breakdown. So you're going to hear from Taylor on the tie down side, Lillian on the Breakaway Breakdown side, mostly going forward. But let's get to know Taylor a little bit. I know it's weird because we all talk in group chats 24/7, but Taylor, can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Start at the beginning. What is the Taylor Vollin story?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Salinas, California. There's a little rodeo there that some people I'm sure know of. My dad rode bareback horses for much of my childhood. I grew up kind of at the end of his professional career. I've competed in rodeo since I was, Pee-wee division, the stick horse race, the boot race, things like that. I went on to high school rodeo, of course, junior high rodeo before that, college rodeo, I amateur rodeoed, definitely very involved in the sport. My dad is now a PRCA judge. I am engaged to a Great Lakes Circuit calf roper. So my entire life has revolved around the sport. I went to Mississippi State University and got my bachelor's degree in ag communications with a minor in print and digital journalism. Prior to that, went to East Mississippi Community College and college rodeoed and got my associate degree in communications. Yeah, I've been with the Equine Network for the last almost year. I think it'll be a year in March. Like you said, Casey, I primarily stick over in team roping land, but yeah, definitely have a soft spot for the calf roping. Not sure I want to admit that, but I'm really excited for this opportunity to kind of be in my realm a little bit more even, I guess.
Shout out to Roy Lee. You can name your fiance. It's okay.
He, I think, would love for me to.
So Taylor is our newest addition to the team. She's been absolutely outstanding to have on board. But before we got Miss Taylor, last year, just before the NFR, literally when calfroping.com was launching, we hired on Miss Lillian, who came from a very different background than Taylor, and she has become also an amazing team member. So Lillian, I'm so happy to have you here, and let's get the Lillian Kent story.
Yeah, so I grew up in rural West Texas, south of San Angelo, a little place called Sonora, Texas. And
there's a little roping there too.
Yeah, the place has a pretty rich rodeo history that I didn't realize until I started working here, really, and grew up really liking the rodeo, but I had my heart on the horse show deal. So tried to horse show, teach myself all that stuff, ranch riding, all that fun stuff. And I volunteered for the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo for 4 years. I got to see the production meetings that go into that event and really loved it. I was on the drill team that I always said did the halftime show at the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo. So that place definitely has a special place in my heart. And I never thought I was going to be coming back to work in the rodeo realm, but here I am. I went to college at Texas A&M University, and I competed on the stock horse team there for a short time. Just continued to try to pursue the ranch versatility and cow horse path. Upon graduating, I went to work for Quarter Horse News, which is a Western performance horse magazine, and is now just a digital brand. but was deep in the rein cow horse and reining, cutting. 2020 changed a lot of things for a lot of people. And that also included a change for me. Was a freelancer for a while, writing articles in the Western performance industry. And then I was fortunate enough to get the job to come on at Equine Network. And for a while, I feel like I was kind of a floater between a lot of the brands. I worked for Barrels, I worked for Team Roping, and then we kind of settled on me in Breakaway, which to me, Breakaway is the most interesting of all of them, especially coming from the rein cow horse background. Seeing the horses stop the way they do is just the best. So I've been pretty committed to the Breakaway arena for about a year or so, and really enjoyed getting to know the girls and build those relationships with them. So excited to go forward and, do the Breakaway Breakdown from a different point of view.
I love that. I think something about our team that's so great is we all have this central love for the sport, but we all come from different walks of life. I'm from Pennsylvania. Taylor, you're from California. Lillian, you grew up in Texas. Taylor's in Missouri now, moving to Arkansas soon. I'm in Texas now. Lillian's actually just a little bit down the road from me down here. So it's just so fun to see all those different viewpoints. And I think that's going to give the podcast such an edge going forward, that, my little barrel racer, breakaway roper hybrid self didn't have that perspective that you guys have. So Taylor, talk about the fact that you grew up so deep in the rodeo culture, and then you came on board with Equine Network, the Western Sports Group. Do you feel like you've just really hit that next level of like the nitty gritty of the sport? Like, what has this been like growing your knowledge and your love for it?
Yeah, I would definitely say my eyes have been opened. Gosh, this is going to make me sound bad, but I felt like I knew everything there was to know, and that was not the case. I have such a new respect. If I didn't have a good enough respect, I guess you could say. I'm kind of at a loss for words. My respect for our boss, Chelsea Schaefer, and everybody that works in rodeo communications and media is, again, speechless. Like, I don't even know how to put it into words. It's working in the industry makes me realize what I thought I understood, that it takes everybody, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm not answering your question well enough. I am kind of scatterbrained, but I feel like I've had a front row seat to even more of the industry that I thought I recognized or knew. Like, I've always known, I feel like I said, from watching my dad compete, which I was very, very young, opposite end of the arena, competing myself. And then, like I said, engaged to a cap roper. I understand the demands of the sport for an athlete, but now watching it and hearing people's stories, I feel like it's grown my heart a little bit more, I think. And I feel like I have even more of an appreciation, and I didn't realize I could do that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is working with Equine Network has really made me grow as a person. It's made me have a new, deeper respect for what we do and what everybody else in media does. And I think it's just been quite the journey the last year, getting to really see the dedication and the sacrifices the top 15 make. That has been, you thought you knew just working media. You have a whole new understanding of it, I feel like.
Yeah, I love that. And this year was your first time working the NFR with our team, down in the press room, the very glamorous basketball court that we work from. If you guys listen to Taylor's episode with some of those NFR interviews, it's so much fun because there's so much going on in the background. But you really do see a different side of the NFR, especially being down there in the press room, seeing the athletes immediately after they win. Lillian, this year, you got to work the NFR a little bit last year, but this year was your first NFBR. We hate that they're separate, but we'll get to that another time. So I was really interested to kind of watch that event through your eyes. As somebody that came in, you helped organize the autograph signing. You were in so deep with the girls all year long. Kind of explain what that was like, being someone that kind of came from the outside world a little bit, that experience at the NFBR for you.
Yeah, so the NFBR this year was really special. Getting to see those girls compete all year and literally claw their way to the top. It was the highest earning cutoff we've ever had. And obviously, Shelby Midget broke this glass ceiling as far as earnings records. So getting to arrive there and see the culmination of this entire year that we've put in, me writing stories, calling the girls, them obviously putting thousands and thousands of miles on those trucks and trailers, getting down the road to the next one. It was really humbling and really fun. You mentioned the autograph signing. It was kind of something that we threw together a few weeks before the NFBR. And to be honest, I thought, maybe we'd get 40 people signed up to 40 people show up to sign autographs with the girls, and maybe a handful of girls would show up. And instead, we had a huge line all around the concourse in the South Point. Well over 200 people showed up. And at one point or another, every single top 15 girl came. So to see that come together is kind of crystallizes the past year and what it's been to build relationships with these ladies. And I hope that they feel like they can come to me with things about media or questions or anything like that. So that's been really fun. As far as the NFBR, like I mentioned, that entire year of work only being in 2 days is kind of heartbreaking. And as you said, we'll talk about that later in other episodes, but you want them to have more and you want them to get the recognition they deserve for all that hard work because they're out there rodeoing alongside everyone else. But it's fun. It's fast and furious. The NFBR sure is, because you're trying to take notes on the runs themselves, keep track of times, do Instagram stories, run the camera, whatever it is. It's fast and furious. And I'm just really glad that I'm part of a team where we are able to do a lot of those things really well and get those special moments behind the back gate and things like that.
I love that. For me, that's the best part too. Like when you're standing with somebody on the arena dirt and their goal is realized and they're getting that buckle, kind of getting to be the person when they turn around and hug their family that watches it happen and gets to feel those emotions and everything. Like it gets me fired up. And Taylor, I know you love your breakaway ropers too. I've seen you swing a breakaway rope. You know what you're doing in there. She won't brag on herself, but don't worry, guys. I will brag on my girls. I love these two. So Taylor, moving forward, talking about the tie down breakdown specifically, what are some of the interviews, some of the things that people can expect? Is there going to be pro rodeos, futurities, profiles? Like, what are you aiming to do with the tie down breakdown this year?
I would love to bring more profiles. I think personally, the tie down rope, and I feel like is an aspect of the sport that maybe doesn't get covered a whole lot. I know, with Pro Rodeo Sports News and Pro Rodeo and Cowboy Channel, they do cover it, but I want this to be a way where we can give them their own little space, which we've been doing with calfroping.com the last, 2 years, year and a half. So yeah, definitely more profiles. I like that type of stuff. Over at the Short Score, I get to do a mix between rodeo coverage. You hear a lot of my interviews with the winners of the big rodeos, occasionally profiles. I want to do more of that over there as well, but that's for another story, of course. But definitely more profiles, getting to really know not just guys' accomplishments, because those are the things we hear most about, but, how they got into the sport, which for a lot of them, I feel like it's all from, they grew up in the sport. But yeah, hearing people's background stories, definitely rodeo coverage, of course, who's winning what, how the standings look. The futurities are a little bit out of my realm, so I think it would be good for me and our audience to hear more coverage of them. But yeah, I'd kind of like to offer everybody a little bit of everything. That way we're kind of covering every aspect of the sport.
Gosh, I love that, because you guys have both touched on the fact that you watch these journeys all year long and, people see that win at the end, but they don't get to see that process or really the humanization of those athletes. So I love that. That's something I feel like you guys are both on track with. So Lillian, I know the style I had with the Breakaway Breakdown is going to be so different from yours. And I think it's going to be great because I took it over from Caitlin and we've continued to just shift and evolve this podcast. If you guys haven't gone back and listened to some earlier episodes, you've got to catch up. There's some great profiles from season 1 and season 2, event championships, all that good stuff. But Lillian, where is your heart this year? What are some things, especially with your unique experience, that you're planning on bringing to the Breakaway Breakdown?
I'm really hoping that we can bring some consistent news interviews to the Breakaway Breakdown. I know that's been something that we've done previously, but I'm in the thick of it, especially throughout the summer with talking to the girls and, who's won the latest and greatest. And I really hope that we can be providing those timely event winner interviews, much like they do over on The Score. I must admit, I'm also partial to the horse stories. I recently wrote about Laramie Johnson's Easy, written about Little Punch, written by Haven Medjid. And I'm a horse girl at heart, so love me a horse story. I'm sure we're going to get some people's stories in there as well, but I'm really looking forward to the news side of it, keeping everybody up to date, hear literally firsthand from the girls on the road what they're experiencing and what getting that win was like, and then going to throw in a few extra little goodies along the way.
I love that. Keeping it fresh. I love that you mentioned the horse side of things, because that's somewhere that I feel like I've neglected to kind of showcase some of the talents in our sport as far as the breeders and the trainers who are really going in and building the foundation. So although you guys will be in different episodes or in different segments, I think it's going to be awesome to just get that nice mix of content across the board. One thing that I have to ask both of you, and you should know it's coming if you've listened to previous episodes, but I want to know what the best piece of advice you guys have ever been given is.
I think my answer is going to have to be kind of a conglomeration of advice that I think can apply to everyone, in that the world is your oyster. And if you put your head down and go for it, it's possible. I never would have thought that I got to have not only one, but 2 careers in the equine journalism industry, especially with the industry being as small as it is. So if there's something out there that you want to do, whether it's in the pro rodeo arena or in life, just know that it's in your grasp and you can get it. You just need to put your head down and put in the hours and keep your eyes open for opportunities, because even if you don't feel like you're qualified for something, you need to put your hat in the ring and get after it.
I love that. Or if it's learning to make TikToks.
True.
You got there too. She has been making some rank ones, you guys. If you're not on the Breakaway Roping Journal TikTok, I'm telling you, I'm shamelessly plugging my girls today.
Picking up all the skills along the way.
Taylor, what you got?
Mine might sound bad almost because we are journalists and we do cover very serious things, but I'm a chronic overthinker and I am a worrier. And those are synonyms, I know, but pretty much, or should be in my case. But I had someone tell me that life's not that serious. And I think that was just, as silly as it might sound, it was a little freeing for me. And I need it written on a ginormous whiteboard next to every step I take. But yeah, just, knowing that making the wrong decisions or messing up in the grand scheme of things, it's not serious. It's not a big deal because every day is a fresh start and at least you're trying. And I think I need that reminder. And I think I know a lot of people that need to know that, one mistake, something that, a bad decision, whatever, it's not the end of the world for the most part. You can always bounce back and you can change who you want to be literally every day that you wake up. And I think that that's very promising and very positive. So I would say that's my best piece of advice I've been given.
I love that. I was talking to one of the ropers last week in Abilene at the American Contender Finals. Run didn't go as planned. One partner was pretty upset. The other partner wasn't as upset. So I said, how do you guys balance this? What's going through your head? And one of them told me, you know what? it's at the end of the day, the worst thing that happens is we go broke. Been broke before, we'll be broke again, and we can't sweat all this stuff we do in the arena. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. And I was like, that is such a great mentality, and I've never ever thought that way once. But maybe some mental toughness episodes coming in for Taylor. She'll be doing notes and doing interviews at the same time.
Yeah, I think like over at the Short Score, I've had a lot of guys tell me about their new mental games for each year. And I am, like you said, Casey, I am literally writing it down on a sticky note every once in a while because I'm like, gosh, dang, that applies to me. And I'm a very, very like faith-based person. So my favorite episodes or interviews I've done in general just have been with like, God, Coulter Todd is the best because every time I feel like I'm like, God, I see you. I needed this information today, this interview. But so I definitely would love to get more like you said, mental toughness, kind of what drives people, their mindset. Because I think it's so important in our sport. So I'm glad you brought that up, Casey.
Well, and I think going off of the best piece of advice, it just really shows how much we all have to learn from each other. So whether a breakaway roper is going to be picking up something from a calf roping episode or vice versa, there's a lot of information out there. And honestly, we're going to be doing our best to bring the best to the table. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of great information and great experiences shared on the 2 segments of this podcast. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Taylor brings to the table and all the guests that she's going to have. And I am really excited for this coming year.
I love it. We love seeing tie down and breakaway events team up for good. I mean, it's just warm fuzzies.
It just makes sense.
Okay, so I guess we've made it. I've stalled long enough through this interview. I told you guys I wouldn't cry because I don't do that, but this is me signing off from the Breakaway Breakdown going forward. And I'm so grateful for all of our listeners and all of the amazing interviews that we have had on this podcast. If you do still want to hear from me, I will be over on the Money Barrel on Monday mornings doing the rundown, bringing you guys all the barrel racing news. As I said, I'll still be popping up at some events throughout the year. Breakaway Ropers, you can't get rid of me that easy. May have sold my old horse, but I'm still here. No. Just thank you to our listeners and our fans and all the nice comments you guys send me every week in the summer. Really appreciate you all. And we're just going to keep grinding and moving forward. And Taylor and Lillian, I am so grateful for the hard work that you guys put in and for taking this over and just being excited, working together on this podcast, because I think the sky's the limits for you guys.
We're both looking forward to the opportunity, and hopefully we can do you proud with the breakaway and calf roping coverage. If anybody knows Casey, they know that she's definitely going to be sticking around, and we will be seeing her.
All right. I'm not going to make you guys be too feelsy today. But again, thank you everybody. And until next time, good luck wherever you are entered. Keep kicking all the butt and having all the fun. And we'll be back on the Breakdown.